Man, do I have stuff to talk about today. So, first off, I learned that I look pretty dumb when this hair does the old hangover. The old sag to the sides. Not cool. I've learned that when I keep it up though, when I've learned that if I give it a twist it might do it. Maybe it's not gonna do it right now. But if I make it stay up, like kind of like this, it looks okay. Like this right here, not bad. But if it does the old overhang, that's not cool. But anyway, I want to talk about my interview today. It's the main thing I want to talk about. So, uh, it did not start off. Well, I mean, okay. I was worried, I should say. Before I even got to the interview, I was worried because I had never been to Venice before, which is where it took place. And so I did not allot enough time to get there. I My interview started at 6:20. It's supposed to start at 6:20. And so I looked up the time previously how long it would take me to get there. And earlier in the afternoon, it said an hour and 9 minutes, which is still a really stinking long time, to get somewhere. So I was like, okay, I'm going to leave at like 5, you know, 10 ish, 5:09, something like that, right? I was planning on 5:09. For some reason, 5:09 stood out in my brain. I can't remember. Like maybe I think it was I was trying to leave by 5:09 and ended up leaving a little bit later than I would have liked. I think that was it. Anyway, so I ended up leaving, like I said, a little bit later than I would have liked, and I was freaking out. I'm like, oh my word, this is not good. I'm not going to make a good first impression. I'm already, I'm going to be late. So I'm losing my mind trying to get to Venice, way across town, trying to figure out the best, quickest way to get there. Because I've only been to Venice once in my entire life, and I wasn't even driving at that point. So this is my first time driving there. So freaking out. I get there. I show up, and I'm like, well, I mean, it didn't take too long to park. That was good, right? Found parking with relative ease. I show up, I get there, I go inside the building. I'm like 6 minutes late. Well, probably around 7, 8 after I walk into there, and I don't see anybody. I get in the building and I don't see. There's nobody there, and I don't see any signs or anything pointing me in the right direction. So I'm like, kind of walking around. Then from behind me, I hear, Matt, it's Sharon. And so I'm like, I look behind me, and it's from a room to the side. So I go in the room to the side, and that's where the studio was. That's where like it was kind of set up where there were theater type chairs, a bit of a stage, and I recognized it from the website. And so I was like, oh crud, this is where it is. And I saw Sharon, the teacher, sitting there, kind of in the middle. I was afraid that Sharon was going to be a mixture of Edna from The Incredibles and the old, spindly, thin food critic from Ratatouille, right? I was afraid she was going to be like a mixture of those characters. Where I walk in and she's like, "Go sit in that chair over there," and then I go sit, and she's like, "Now, tell me what you know about the art of acting," something like that. But she was not like that at all. It was fantastic. She was totally cool, super chill, easy to talk to, knows what she's talking about, which is fantastic, and just, I don't know, super, super cool. And so I sit down, and she's like, "So, how did you come to me?" And I was like, well, um, I was watching an interview from Vincent D'Onofrio, the guy who played Kingpin, or Kingpin in Daredevil, and he mentioned you, and then she was like, oh, like she acknowledged with fondness stinking Vincent D'Onofrio. Like the dude's really good at acting, and she taught him. Like it just, oh my goodness, for my brain, just from Nebraska, it's insane. Rubbing shoulders with these type of people, you know, who she's taught the stinking Kingpin how to act, and she's also taught like Ben Stiller and stuff. It's insane. Anyway, so told her how I came across her class, and then I proceeded to kind of tell her my story because she asked like why. What did she ask? Something that led me into telling my story about how long I've wanted to get into acting and stuff I did in high school to kind of prepare for that or for getting into acting. And she told me that I'm at the point where I need to focus on just becoming an actor, right? Just learning how to act. Not, I shouldn't focus on getting headshots or, you know, going out on auditions or whatever, but, I need to focus on acting. And that was really good, which, I mean, I kind of felt like I was at that point, or I am currently at that point. And so I'm glad that she said that. And then this other lady, whatever, came in and she was telling us both about the format of her classes and such. And she was saying how she kind of focuses on, well, she does method stuff like sense memory and whatnot. And she focuses, like, one of the things she focuses on is improvising based on real stuff, like reality, not like she mentioned the groundlings. Like it's not like she doesn't teach like how the groundlings teach because apparently the groundlings are more like comedy and like Saturday Night Live type stuff when she is more based on like real life. How would you improvise if you're doing a dramatic scene with somebody as a character, if you're supposed to be drunk or if you're supposed to be high or whatever, And so uh, then she was telling me privately after, like, she asked the other lady to like leave while she finished talking to me, and she was saying how uh, I need to focus on, I shouldn't take like a acting for the screen uh, uh, class. Like I shouldn't take one of those. I need to just focus on like acting. And so that was really good. And she mentioned my voice twice, as a matter of fact. It's kind of surprising. She didn't compare me to Seth Rogen, which take that for what it's worth. I've it's unbelievable. Like one of the auditions I went to recently, I was compared to Seth Rogen. So I wouldn't have been surprised if she had compared me to Seth Rogen, but she didn't. Uh, she was like, Have you done voice acting work before?" And I was like, "No, not yet." And she was like, "You have a good voice," and I was like, "Thank you." And then later on, she brought it up again. She was like, "You have a beautiful voice," and I'd never heard, like, nobody has ever compared, like, nobody's ever said that my voice was beautiful before. So that was the first. Then she said it's so resonant, and like very few people have your voice. That's what she said. And I was like, oh my goodness. So I was like, thank you very much. And it was just insane. But then she told me, I usually don't accept, people, beginners, people like me who are just starting out. I've done nothing, pretty much. And she she just said, yeah, like I usually bring on people with more work experience or just acting experience. Uh, but then she said, but I'm gonna bring you. I want to bring you on as a trial thing, and I was like, oh my word. And she said, I didn't say that to her, but she said, I'm gonna bring you on for 4 classes during the summer, and at the end of those 4 weeks, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk, and we'll see. I'll suggest some beginners classes if you need it, or if you're if I think you're ready or good enough or whatever, then it'll be like yeah, you have a place here. So it was just nuts. I was like, oh my word. And she's like, don't think of it as like an audition or whatever. It's just we're gonna kind of see how this goes. And I was like, man, that's really cool. Like she believes in me. Like she doesn't usually bring people on like me, but she's bringing me on. She said, this is even cooler. She was like, I feel like I'm dealing with an artist with you. And that's just a huge compliment to me. I was like, oh my word, that's great. Like, that's really cool. And she said, I feel like you have just been an artist that's been waiting until you're ready financially. And I was like, it's kind of true, a little bit. And I still don't know how much her classes cost. That's the biggest variable right now. I'm holding out for that. I'm hoping it's not way too expensive. Um, but holy crud, we're running long here. Anyway, she told me all those nice things, and so I emailed her assistant. So I'm waiting to hear back. I don't know when these classes start. I don't know, how soon this could all get started. But here's the thing. I feel like this is really important. I feel like this is really a bit of a watershed moment for me. Because I was telling my parents this earlier. Because I was like, can we Skype? Like, I've got to tell you guys about this. So we Skyped for a bit. And that was really good. Anyway, I feel like this is a bit of a watershed thing where I could either go this way or I could go this way. And I know that my occupational choice for my life is just wrought with risk. Left and right. Risk. And I think this is one of those risks that I need to take in order to make progress. So I've got to make this work somehow. And I have no idea how. I'll live on ramen and water forever. And I don't know. But like seriously, things have been crossing my mind. Like, do I sell my car and buy a motorcycle? What can I do? Because I'm not a huge money spender. I get like the necessities, like I don't know, not utilities, like supplies and stuff, like laundry detergent and food. Granted, I get like fun food, like a couple times a week or something, But it's not like, oh, I could save a couple $100 by not going out with the boys every weekend. Because I don't do that. So it's like, what can I even do? But I'm like, I need to make more money. I need to, I don't know. So that's why I was thinking, like, do I buy a motorcycle? Because then I would be able to save a healthy chunk of cash from my insurance. So I don't know. I might have to, think about doing that. But I don't know if that'd be a really dumb decision either. Anyway, but all this to say, the interview went well. Uh, I quite possibly could have an acting teacher. Well, I do have an acting teacher for 4 weeks. I've got to prove myself in those 4 weeks. I'm not too worried, honestly, because I am very passionate. And I'm not saying I'm good, but I'm confident in what I do know. If that makes sense. I don't know much, but I know, you know, I'm confident that I can be true in imaginary circumstances, at least a part of the time. If that makes sense. But yeah, so we're gonna see how this goes. Her classes are once a week from like 7 o'clock in the evening to 11 o'clock or 12. So it's a good amount of time, which means it's gonna be super late nights on those days when I have class, but it'll be totally worth it. But I might need to make some drastic lifestyle changes here in order to make this work because I feel like this is important to get, training because she's good. And I feel like if I'm learning from a person who's really good, like I just feel like this is a good career move for me. So, wow, I just 17 minutes. Oh my goodness. I've got to call it here. Thank you guys so much for listening to all this bull crud. Sorry if I'm like stumbling over words and like rambling and whatnot, but this is big. This is big. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow.